Welcome, everyone, to this week's Midnight Ranting on Flat Earthery, where we take a deep dive, so to speak, into the flat Earth. And we try to figure out if this is a new trend, online trolling, or the biggest conspiracy in history. When we look outside, or indeed out in front of us, the environment seems to be a flat, stationary surface. It's hard for any of us to imagine that we're on a ball falling thousands of miles through space, though this is what the majority of scientific evidence leads us to believe. So, how are we able to step out of our own shoes to speak and prove this theory? The difference comes from a matter of perspective. If you can... In fact, it's the same reason that we don't feel like we're moving on a long car on the trip to Aunt Betty's. And the same reason the sun, moon, and all the other planets appear to form into round balls. Not the same type of balls we find in bouncing basketballs, but that's also a great example of Newtonian physics, even if we haven't found a way for us to dunk a giant gas giant like Jupiter into any nets. Speaking of round objects like stars, we know the process of star cosmology well, with a battle of gravity and internal forces of the star fighting until the star burns through its energy and gravity wins out. From these sometimes massive supernova explosions, we get second-generation stars, an entire new solar system of planets and moons, which all seem massively round. Now, I just don't get this conspiracy, which would have us believe that for the Earth to be flat, that not only would all Western scientists and governments be lying, but also our enemies, who hate us most, and who have entirely different motivations. All for what? Well, I'll tell you what, if we dig down deep. Religion. I'm not sure why, but there seems to be a high correlation between accepting the world as flat and believing in a god. Accepting one superstition seems to give rise to new ones and makes it hard for us to criticize others who hold superstitions of their own. So won't you join us for a deep dive down the rabbit hole, or rabbit square, or rabbit flat surface? One of those. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. James?
Yeah, well, that was a really good opener, Amy. So, yeah, we're here to talk about flat Earth today, and it's something that's been buzzing around a lot online forever, but more so, I guess, in the past few years. It's something that kind of comes up every now and again, rears its head, kind of gets smacked down a little bit, but it still ends up coming back. So, yeah, for various reasons, in people who are pretty perceptive have figured out that the world was round for thousands of years, and it's been confirmed with beyond any shred of a doubt. You know, in the past few hundred years, we've sailed around the Earth, we've been over the Earth, we've been to the moon. Everything we see out there is spherical. So if you really want to take the opposite view on that, it's kind of like the test almost for sanity is if you watch some of these flat earther videos and if you just watch that, I guess they can kind of make it appear like there's an open question or kind of like there's some type of controversy or like there's something going on here. But, you know, if you do any amount of work looking a little bit further under the surface of that, you'll find every single thing that they're pointing at has been perfectly explained dozens of times by dozens of really smart people. There's nothing to see here. There is absolutely 0% chance that the Earth is flat. And anybody who doesn't see that after a little bit of work in that is either not an honest actor, not very intelligent, I hate to say, or you know, there's something else going on, some other type of agenda going on there. So, and maybe multiple different, getting some kind of feedback.
Yeah.
Something anyway. So there's something going on here. If you've done any type of work beyond a cursory look at it, and you're not convinced that the Earth is in fact round and that science is 100% right on that, I don't know that there's any help we could do for you at that point. You're probably just not ready to be convinced. You're just not ready to accept reality, and that's okay. But when you are ready to come over and accept reality, we'll be here. We'll be waiting for you. We'll welcome you to reality with open arms, and then you can join all of us, and we can live together in reality. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, James. That was an awesome opener. And now I'm going to hand it over to Sam.
So, first of all, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. So, I'd like to preclude with, I don't claim to be an expert on anything. Now, I'd like to think I have the average intelligence, a good, lay person's look at it. But we can already see proven experiments on Earth or in simulated conditions where matter left in a vacuum forms spheres because there's an even amount of pressure on all sides, both compressing it toward inward to itself and expressing it outward. We can probe these with vacuum chambers where you fill an object with air and it explodes because there's no pressure on the outside keeping it together, or you can suck the air out of an object and it implodes because all the pressure on the outside is crushing it toward the center of its mass. We can also see tests from in space where astronauts are drinking water or what other fluids they have up there for when they accidentally spill it and it's floating in zero gravity. These liquids and oils and substances, solutes, they disperse into small, round shapes. They may be amorphous and constantly changing because they still have a residual force of like being squirted out of the tube or the bottle. But eventually they calm down and just floating balls of mass in space, and that's practically what happened during the Big Bang. You can see the same experiment in a typical household item such as a lava lamp. We have oil suspended in water, and it's another example of mass just reverting to its basic shape when no forces or practically even equilateral forces are pressing upon it from all directions.
Okay. No, I like it. I think that's a good opener. So what I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to open it to open conversation. I'm going to send the StreamYard link if anyone would like to join. And then what I would like to do is instead of a big opener, I spent a whole bunch collecting notes from a recent flat Earth debate. And since no one's here to really defend the flat Earth, I think we'll have them as a proxy, and then we could talk about it. But James, Sam, any comments on?
Is my mic unmuted?
Yes, but you're moving. You gotta keep one spot.
Sorry, I'm sorry. So until we have someone who speaks for the flat Earth, I am going to try to play devil's advocate, and not defend, but at least try to see, across the aisle from your point of view. But I just wanted to get that out of the way before James goes into something. I have a feeling he has quite a bit to get into.
Well, I mean, in order to truly play the devil's advocate, you'd probably have to remove your brain and put it in a blender for about 10 minutes and then pour it back in. But you can at least do what you can do to try.
I'm going to have to keep you and Amy on a leash because you guys like the ad homs.
Ad homs?
It's not
No.
an ad hominem if it's not true.
Well, I would say, because you like to make your jokes and quips, but I try to focus on attacking the argument and not the arguer.
You could do that, except in cases where you have a bad faith actor, where they're not legitimately arguing, I guess you could say.
I'm not. I'm not telling you to change, or else you wouldn't be Amy and James.
Well, there you go. I think she is trying to pull up a debate. Here she goes.
What is that?
There we go. We're gonna should have sound now.
Okay,
And
yeah. So my real name, there's going to be a lot of names here, but my real name is Mark. My channel used to be called Flat Earth Forums, and I have a Flat Earth Forum, kind of like Discord, but I think they're better forums. Have been around a lot longer. And I also am an admin at Theology Forums, and that's about theology. So my channel, I changed the name to get away from Flat Earth debating, and with the name, everybody wanted to argue about it and call me names and stuff like that. So I just thought a good thing to do would be to change the name. So I'm not going to say that this debate is a waste of time, but for me personally, the debate has been over with for a while. From what I've gathered and what I can understand, science can't really prove that the Earth even moves or spins, and physics can't prove that, but they proved that in 1887 with the Michelson-Morley experiment. And then Einstein, he said that was an embarrassment at one point. Relativity and special relativity came along, and then the Earth moved again. But I heard, and I can't verify this, so I don't know, but I heard that later in life, Einstein admitted that he failed. And other top scientists have said that they can't disprove the geocentric model that the Earth is at the center of the universe, because observably it is, but they can't disprove geocentricity, but they can reject it on philosophical grounds because it's uncomfortable to think about we are at the center of the universe, because that probably means that God is real. And,
did you see that debate, Amy? Geocentrism.
I saw pieces of it, and I really saw, to me, what was the key point of it, which was when he was asked if he was a flat earther, and he kind of laughed. He actually was asked, "Are you a crypto flat earther? Are you a secret flat earther?" And he kind of laughed, and he's like, blah. He gave a blah 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 blah, and said, "So no, I'm not a flat earther." But he said, "They're not as silly as you think."
Yeah, he's an interesting character, Dr. Sejenis. He's a funny guy. I think he's converted from Catholicism to Protestantism and back to Catholicism at least 3 times, if I recall. So he's always very fickle. Yeah.
And really I think we're really done through what I wanted to see of his first point, because that right off the bat, he comes off, and give me 1 second, Tara, and then I'll add you in. Right off the bat, he comes and says, "Hello, my name is blah blah blah. I own a flat Earth forum, and I'm an admin at another theology forum. So these are the two things I do. I do flat Earth. I do theology. And it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just like, you're tying this together for me.
They sometimes make it easy for us, once in a while. I say I haven't run into too many atheist flat earthers, but I guess there's a few out there. I don't know.
Somewhere, right?
They don't show their face very often.
Well, yeah, so far. You said you've even met some. I have yet to meet any, but I'm sure there has to be some sort of like alien creationist or something.
I mean, I have run into ones that, well, there are ones that they just don't talk about religion, so you don't really know what they think, or they realize that makes their argument sound even worse, so they just don't
Well, can I
talk
tell
about it.
you what I find most often when I bring this up? The most often response I get from flat earthers is, "Oh, religion? Really? Religion?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, are you a theist?" They're like, "Well, of course." And I'm like, "Oh, well, why does your model work?" They're like, "Because it has to, because God makes it work." And you're like, "Oh, well, I mean, religion. I guess you didn't bring that up." But it's like they don't even realize it. Or at least they don't seem to realize that it's the main factor, and maybe it's not the main factor, but
Well, I mean, just it's hard to imagine a flat Earth model really without a religious component to it, because I mean, imagine that the world is just sitting there inside some dome, and everything's in that, and there's nothing outside of that, or nothing that we can even perceive outside of it. It would almost have to be specially created, you know.
I find it to be a cop-out when they can't explain the mechanics of it or the physics of it. And I'm not an astrophysicist, but I know, the basic things they taught us about Earth in school, and we can see the proof of it in our everyday lives. But it's like, because I said so, rather than a valid argument, or at least explaining why you would implement whatever changes you want to be made because I said so, do it because I said so, or it works this way because I said so, or because God said so. No, explain, please. Just, you can even put it into like simple machinery, right? Spheres, axles, wheels, inclined planes, levers, you
and
name it.
can I interrupt you, Sam? I feel like if you can't, I'm taking this from someone and butchering it, but if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it. And I find that the people who try to use concepts, very highly technical ones like quantum mechanics or something that they don't understand, they try and be as vague and as and will try and shove as many technical words in when, like, if you know it, like, we can teach a lot of biology, physics, and chemistry, in kindergarten books. It's like, baby's first astronomy. And so, yeah, exactly. And Tara, did you have anything so far? Welcome to our little gang of misfits.
He's on mute, so he might not be with us right now. But
Yeah. Well, you're in stage. You may be muted, but you're in stage. And if not, we can come back to you in a second. James, did you have anything else? And if not, we can move on soon.
What do you have, more video to play?
Oh, I have so more. See, I almost got through the whole thing.
Let's see what they have to say for themselves. Let's see.
Okay, let's go to clip number 2. Give me 1 second.
No, well, I am now, but the thing is, he represented me by saying that the problem with my mindset is that you just want to stop right there and get an answer and stop right there. But that's not how science works, because we go, so that's not what I meant. That's not what I was saying. I say research, experiment, Science is great. Real science is awesome. Okay. So
Then why are you going backwards with science? Why are you trying to take us
I'm
back
not going
to
backwards. I'm not going
before
backwards.
Michelson-Morley, before special relativity, before general
Okay,
relativity?
look, let's go back to Copernicus. That's where it pretty much started, or even before that. So in the Vatican and Copernican theory took over. That's what they taught. That's what they teach. That's what they've been teaching ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
and the
Because it's
whole world knew the Earth was flat and enclosed for thousands of years until Copernican theory came along, and that can't even be proven. It's still observably geocentric. So, and the Earth is stationary. I'm sorry, bro. We're not flying through space. We're not spinning around at 1,066 miles an hour. We're not flying through space at 66,666 miles an hour. We're just
Look, you can say that all you want, but if you want to make a positive claim, I'd like to see your
49
evidence.
billion years old. It's just evolution. The only reason they have the globe model, or the only reason they have evolution, is for the globe model. It's all just to hide God. That's what this is all about. So you've done a great
Here
job.
we go. We found it.
Scientific.
I was gonna say,
bullshit,
just wait for the sweet spot.
It has nothing to do with the Earth. It's all about.
Can I ask you a question? When do you think they stopped believing that the Earth was flat? When do you think the very first experiment to say that the Earth was not flat? When do you think the very first one was?
It wasn't Columbus, but yeah, that was my sweet spot of that clip. So,
I mean, yeah, like I said before, the intuitive people who have been looking at things for thousands of years have figured, hey, we're probably on a ball. It doesn't make sense if we're flat based on these observations. And then, yeah, now we confirmed it beyond any doubt. We sail around the Earth. I mean, it's true.
Pardon me for forgetting, but I feel like a total dolt right now. It wasn't Galileo, it was Aristotle, yes? Which one was it? Or Archimedes? No. Jesus, who was it?
The name is not coming to me either for the first measuring the distance in Egypt.
I think it was Plato. Was it? I think they started to see. It was one of them. I know one of them, the Greeks, or at least, started to see they could measure shadows. Someone was measuring shadows.
Yeah,
and
one ancient.
Crown.
Was there either an ancient mathematician, an astronomer, or a medieval one? But one discovered, first made the claim that the Earth was not the center of the universe, and I believe another made the claim that the Earth was round.
But this whole thing about the Earth being the center of the universe is just so, I don't even want to say crazy, but it really is selfish. Like,
it's arrogant. Yeah,
think that we are the center of everything.
Well,
it's as arrogant as God creating man in his image. Like we are the image of God. God would look like us, like around 6 to 7 feet tall at best. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, thorax, abdomen, pelvis.
Genitalia.
Yeah, like why would God need genitals?
And cares very much about who we have sex with.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's working backwards, just deifying everything that we find in our own lives. Holy versions of ourselves. Entire universe for us, centering around us, our oyster to shuck. It's very, self-centered, literally.
And that really annoyed. You could see at it's like, and we were just at the beginning, but the grinding down of eventually it always goes back to faith and things like that. He was almost at that point saying, listen, you got your science and that's cool, but it says what it says in our book.
Well, then we need evolution to explain that. Then we need this. Then we need that. Basically, he's ready to throw out all of science because, yeah. And when you dismiss one idea that's a very well established, I guess there it's not hard to dismiss another one. But
I'm going by. Any more points? We can move on to the next clip. I'm trying to see.
I think we can keep going. Yeah.
I mean, I only have like the most basic proof that the Earth at least rotates. But well, I'll mention that one because it's bound to come up later on.
And actually, I'll go on. This may be one of the next clips, but maybe it's good for conversation. Is that he brought up this point twice. Now this was either he was very triggered, or what do you guys think about the notion that they are, they're seen as crazy? He meant that. I'm trying to think his words. They get a lot of personal attacks. He says he had to change his name because he had like Flat Earth something, and he couldn't go anywhere because everyone would try to argue with him. So that's kind of what you're doing when your name is Flat Earth, whatever, right? Do you feel any sympathy here? I guess is what I'm asking.
You brought it upon yourself.
I mean, I guess if it's something a conviction you have in your heart that you legitimately believe is true, but I don't see how that could be for anyone who's spent any amount of time looking into the evidence and the arguments and everything, because it's not that hard to see that any question he has, there are myriads of answers for.
Exactly.
I mean, that's easy to see. It's not even that hard. It would take 15 minutes and you could figure all that out.
And everyone creates names. Like I have here written Flurf, but then they call us Globers or something. I feel like that's just the natural process of humans. No matter, if there's going to be toast with bread side top and toast with bread side bottom or whatever, they're going to call each other different things.
The Ukes and the Zooks, the Great Butter Battle. It's my favorite Dr. Seuss book.
Exactly. And all right, we'll go to the second clip. Oh, you can share the actual application window. Even better. Well, whatever.
I'm cold.
Let's see.
Hi, Cold. I'm Tara. Nice to meet you. Hope you're doing well.
I love dad jokes. You should keep on making them.
I don't know, Columbus or probably something.
Okay, this clip was Team Skeptic trying to prove gravity, and so it's going to be us just seeing the clip, and then they have some fun commentary about the clip.
I'll try not to
That's
laugh.
the original reading of it going down, right? 2.166. Why did that go up in weight?
Got to be gravity.
Oh, thank you.
That proves everything.
I mean, you don't have another plausible explanation, do you?
I don't, but I'm sure somebody else does.
Well, people try to ad hoc their way through that, but it's not typically something that can be done very easily.
Well, I mean, it's always that we can't
That's the
prove
Cavendish
anything.
experiment.
How do you answer this?
Okay, this actually is relevant.
Say that?
I was going to say, like,
sure.
what's ad hoc?
Ad hoc is when you add something on afterwards. So trying to think of a good example, like you didn't want to come to someone's party, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been out all weekend," and they're like, "Yeah, but here's you posting a picture of you being here," and you're like, "Oh well, that's a picture of me being here at my family's." Like now you have to adjust the explanation because someone has shown you new information. So now you have to accept that information but change your
That's
bullshit.
what I meant to say. Oh, that's what I meant to say.
Honestly, I think it's kind of hilarious. It's like, the guys in the video must be gravity. And like this guy's like, I don't know. I don't have an explanation. Maybe someone else has it for me. And I'm like, it was literally 10 seconds ago. By the way, the only reason why I'm here is because I'm trying to figure out how to build a telescope. My brother and my father are going to try to build a 2 meter telescope or 60-inch telescope.
Doesn't matter to me as long as you're here. Enjoy the time.
What for?
I want to look at a star.
What are you trying to observe something, or just to build
it? Yeah, I'm trying to honestly. Am I on a delay?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just basically like I wanted to like have a bonding experience with my family first and foremost. And second off, I really hate this planet, so I'm going to look at other stars and try to find a better one. I'm real estating this shit. Like, I kind of want to look for a blue star. Yeah, it's going to go supernova eventually, but as long as it has life, I'll find it.
Hey, I just want to get us off the Earth. Get us on the moon and Mars.
Yeah, if you want to terraform, you want to look for moons or planets, like solid planets. I think stars, the only thing you can use them for is energy, somehow harvesting the energy that they're creating before they burn out. But that's way, way after interstellar travel.
I mean, actually, that's kind of the reason why I was considering this and why I decided to show up is because I don't know how people could still be on flat Earth. I really don't. But okay, so like, at least for me, I am legitimately trying to consider for the future of our species as basically like Freeman Dyson's conjecture about a Dyson swarm, which is solar panels around our sun, which would increase our energy budget by 1 billion-fold. So on the planet, by the way. So this basically this will be the equivalent of like the 4th industrial revolution. And like, at least for me, if I'm going to be honest about it, like some stars are better at harvesting life rather than others, which is why I find the sort of argument of like, it's as far as I know, like this is the only planet with life because God made it so. And I'm like, no, like there's probably K-class stars are smaller than ours. They live longer. They're pretty stable. They're also got pretty good chance for harboring life. And if you want to bring M-class stars into it, like red dwarfs, you get tidal locking, which sucks. But like, other than that, your only disadvantage with them, other than the fact that they're very common, is that you basically have to have a planet that has a really good weather system, like basically good weather dynamics, and that's not impossible. It's not even a great filter, but whatever.
It's just the right mixture. It's a sweet spot. A star that gives off enough heat, and a planet with enough elements to support life at the right distance. With just the right distance away from that star. The larger the star is, or the more heat it gives off, then this planet will have to be further away so it's not scorched, but not too far that it's frozen. The smaller the star is, and the less heat it gives off, whatever planet or moon will have to be a little closer to that star, just to fit in that window. But yes, enough heat, enough just the right amount of elements, and yes, these weather systems, they keep a planet going, because how else would we have rain? We need rain.
How else is a flat Earth going to have weather? Real talk.
I mean,
I want to know how weather doesn't fall off the surface.
I mean, God farts and there's a hurricane. I don't know.
That's thunder. It's just God's farts.
I think it's. I think this entire debate is basically like the entire flat Earth debate is essentially a misconstruement of basic geometric facts. Like, that's my statement. That's my piece.
Or just recalcitrant refusal to acknowledge when something's been disproven.
I think it's just digging up old arguments from hundreds of years ago and even thousands of years ago. Flat Earth, geocentrism, dinosaurs, these are all been long proven with not even modern day science. They've been proven how long ago?
Well, it's like even tonight with the Otangelo debate with Dapper Dino on Modern Day Debate on evolution. And I mean, all Otangelo does is just parrot the same intelligent design talking points over and over again. No matter how many times you refute them, no matter how many examples you give, he just keeps on saying it. I mean, that's like the mentality of the flat Earth.
And they're always I always say they're always evolution debates. They never defend their own ideas, just like the flat earthers never defend their own models. It's always just about trying to poke holes in science, but it's not like they're there to do science.
They're there to misunderstand it and try to use that to shoehorn in their theology.
And it doesn't. The other thing is, it doesn't. The conspiracy doesn't make sense. Like it would have to be all of our governments, all of our scientists, but then all of the people that hate us as well. So like it's everyone, just one world government. We're already there, I guess.
Well, I guess they're all working for the devil, so he's behind the scenes manipulating everything, and he wants people to believe the world is round, and he wants people to breathe air, I guess. I don't know.
Thought experiment for Sam. I think it'd be kind of fun to pick your brain on it, if you don't mind.
I was gonna say something. Rather than just blow smoke and pick fun at them, which is entertaining, but I was going to say, damn it, right. How can one claim that the plants and the animals and the rocks are a product of intelligent design when this entity, if there was one, how many thousands of years ago would have had to predict how our climate and environment and laws of physics would change? Okay, because what we see, the physical structure, the chemical sequences in all living things and all non-living things that make up our world are simply what survived this environment. Okay, it's simply what survives the climate, the weather, the elements, the laws of physics for this specific rock that we're on. Any other planet that can house life forms are going to have a different type of life forms, a different type of flora and fauna, different types of trees, different types of air, right? Where the creatures breathe something else, perhaps, because that planet is under different circumstances, has different materials, different amounts of said materials, and the physics work differently. Okay, even on our own Earth, insects live in a completely different world of physics than we do. That's why they can fly so high. That's why they don't, explode when they hit the ground. They still stay together. They don't have circulatory systems like we do. Like they don't even have like an actual heart. It's because gravity, the size, your chemical makeup, your physical makeup. It all depends on how big you are, what you're made of, how your body works, whether you're a vertebrate or a plant. This is simply examples of what survives in these given conditions on this given planet. That's it.
And we didn't go through the evolution process to see planets at that scale. We worked on flat surfaces because that's what the environment, we had things chasing us. We had to run forward. And so we didn't grow up in an environment. If we were the size of planets, we would work through that natural selection process where we'd be able to see them.
And to further to wrap things up,
I don't know.
If design was so intelligent, what about all the failed species that aren't here today? And they didn't die from human hunting, no, like even before humans reached the scene. All the failed species that lived and went away. Well, if they were designed by such intelligence, that intelligent entity would have realized, oh wait, I need to tweak these so they survive.
So what they say is, like, you're going to talk about how the animals in the past look very different than a lot of the animals today. Like they're
not around today.
Yeah, well, they're going to tell you that most of the animals that you see in the past, they're all basically the same as today. They're just deformed or those are the examples we see because they're not recognizing that evolution has happened, or
Then
that
it's not intelligent design. That designer had to change their models over time. If
Well,
their
they'll
intelligent
just
design is, I'm sorry, if their creator is so perfect, this creator would have built each animal and plant perfectly the first time around.
Well, they'll just say that he made the species so they could have variability to change based on the current, climate. So he didn't have to come down and redesign them every time the weather changes. He made it so that they can adapt on their own.
And that's a great example of ad hoc.
Well, yeah, of course. That's all it is. They're all looking at reality, how it works, and saying, how can we rationalize our faith? How can we work backwards and make it look like all this makes sense?
Now, I don't want to forget. This was a tangent. Someone wanted to pick my brain about something. I don't want you to forget.
That was Nicole.
That was me. I was actually going to bring it up. So
Good.
Geometry is my favorite subject. We'll start with that. And math, specifically. So there's many types of geometry. There's Euclidean geometry, which is what I would consider what most people understand as plane geometry, which basically extends to flat Earth, because we apparently stand the concept of spheres, at a general level. What I mean by that is because whenever Archimedes was basically systemizing Euclidean geometry within the elements, he was basically going through proofs, basically this is basically math is tautology. 2 + 2 = 4 always. And for postulate 5 is it's basically lines that are not equal to 180 degrees can never converge or divert. But that's not true, because a sphere has a bunch of converging and diverting lines. You see what I mean?
As far as I know, a line is distance between 2 points.
Yeah.
Whereas a sphere doesn't really have any points. It's kind of a odd, no pun intended, oddball. It's like, even compared to a cone, for instance, there's still an angle, like the apex of a cone or the base of a cone. It's 45 degrees all around. But a sphere has no sides, no angles, no apex. So, but it's still a shape. Like thumbs, they're still digits, but apparently they're different. I don't know. It's a whole other type of math. You need we get into circumference and radii and diameter and stuff like that.
I mean, I could try to make this very simple. So basically Euclidean geometry is flat shapes. Your triangles, your spheres, or your circles. And your pyramids. Also, fun fact, Archimedes, the guy who helped systemize and understand the elements, he wanted on his deathbed a sphere on his grave, because that was apparently what he considered his best work. It's not like he himself was seriously considering oh yeah, the world is definitely flat. He may not have the mathematical rigor to sort of, prove that shape or lines can sort of change across 3D surfaces or higher dimensional surfaces or whatnot. It just so happens that and also it's even he himself was really close to calculating the diameter of the Earth, so it's probably irrelevant. But it's basically my point. Yeah, my point.
Yeah, because when you arc a line, then it can eventually connect to itself or intersect itself, and you keep arcing it, and you make a little squiggly loop-de-loop and whatnot.
Is that how they got the term arc from his name?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, Archimedes screw.
Or
Archimedes, the owl in the Sword of the Stone.
I don't know about that, but yeah, if you're using just straight lines, you eventually need two that intersect, or to meet at a corner, at a point, at an apex. But if you arc a single line continually, you eventually end up with a circle.
I find it kind of funny, James, but I sort of think this is I hear a lot from some theist debaters about like, oh, God's a higher dimensional being. But I always feel like that there's this very clear contradiction of like people can't decide they're usually theists if like the Earth is flat or if the universe is a hypersphere, because it's totally reverse. Like we're all aware that like the Earth is a sphere, but the universe is flat. And for some reason, this cognitive dissonance just seems to like permeate this, not only this particular debate, but intelligent design as well.
I didn't think the universe was flat. Who said that?
I think so.
Well, the universe, the shape of the universe is a lot harder to understand. It's not like flat, as in flat like a pancake. It's a lot harder to understand than all that.
Well, sure. Like, let's consider this. So, like, as far as we're concerned, the observable universe is flat. But it's the same thing as, like, whenever I look at my door right now. It looks flat, but obviously, like, you raise yourself up, you're going to eventually see, like, I guess you could say depth, or, like, go even higher, you'll see the curve of the Earth. There might be a curve to this universe. I'm not really sure. My point was more so that, like, it's basically the reason why I like geometry so much is that, like, lines are not as predictable as, like, they go straight. They can arc. They can even warp. They could fold in onto each other. And, like, you know, I guess if we're going to talk about shapes, it's very clear that my bias is a spherical Earth because my favorite shape is a sphere. I mean, who would have thunk it? But, you know, like,
I find, I don't know, I really never thought of the universe as flat, because if it were to begin with a big bang, then I just look at combustion. Combustion is the release of lots of gases, lots of pressurized gases, all at once in any direction it can. Path of least resistance. Okay? And if there are any solids in the mix, they're getting propelled, projected in any direction that the force was greatest and the resistance was weakest. So if the universe starts with a big bang, I'm thinking it's going in every direction. You know,
you're actually totally
maybe
right.
Not quite a
That
perfect
doesn't mean
sphere.
it's not flat, I don't think, but
I actually have an explanation.
Yeah, that's
but
complicated.
yeah.
Because Sam is right, but you're also right, James. But Sam is, I think, more right than you. Sorry.
As
But
usual,
I'll
right?
explain it. So let's explain. So, like, the Big Bang is basically, there's a period in time before the Big Bang. I believe it's called the separation epoch, where, like, the weak and strong nuclear forces and electromagnetism separated from the singularity. Gravity
That
was
would be
last.
at the Planck time, pretty much, or very short after.
It's
See,
actually
I
very
didn't-
short after. It's 10 to the 23rd percent after the Planck time, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So
I didn't know there was a time before the Big Bang.
Wow.
It's a minimum time. You know, like the minimum time that the universe can, quote unquote, have a Big Bang. You know what I mean?
I'd like to hear more about that in a different discussion, but continue.
But think about, like, the singularity is like you blowing like a balloon and then it just suddenly expands. All right. So the universe is expanding because of an inflation field. But obviously gravity is also, you know, attracting things together and together and together. There's generally a reason why stars have orbits within, obviously, flat, you know, like flat orbits. It's very rare for a planet, like, let's say Pluto's the easiest one. For Pluto to have a regular orbit, it's because its gravity influence from the sun is weaker than in Pluto than obviously it is here, because we're closer. So whenever the Big Bang was expanding, think of the balloon as, like, basically the two sides of the balloon were constantly, like, being pulled and pulled. And, like, you know, obviously for this analogy to work, in real life, the balloon will eventually pop, because, like, if you were to, like, theoretically grab two corners of
I'm
the room.
sorry, two sides of a balloon?
Like
But aren't balloons are round?
Yeah, like one side of the spherical balloon and the other side of the spherical balloon.
Oh, if you were to bisect the sphere?
Yeah.
Okay.
For this analogy to work, obviously, like in our world, if you had superhuman strength, or I guess whatever, like, you eventually pop the balloon, right? You would tear it in half. If you just kept pulling and pulling and pulling.
What kind of balloon are we talking about? A simple party balloon you can, in fact, tear in half with your own hands.
Yeah, like, that's my point. But space isn't like that. Space actually, space has this general property of like when we're talking about the end times, it's either going to crunch in on itself because of gravity, and it's going to restart a Big Bang. It will rip, and I hope it doesn't rip, but so far it hasn't ripped yet. Or it will just, if the universe is flat, it'll just keep expanding forever. It's infinite inflation. So that's the reason why, the Big Bang was essentially like vaguely a sphere, but over time it flattened both because of gravity and the inflation field. Now there's this sort of like strange effect on dark matter that I really don't want to get into because I would probably get more into opinion than scientific fact, but that's the general gist of it. Like, it's basically, shapes over time can change, warp, sort of like merge on itself. And this is why I think flat Earth is stupid, because I feel like I'm 5 layers ahead of this debate about geometric shapes, and like going back to here to debate the shape of the Earth is just so annoying.
It is, and it doesn't help because they don't get it. They don't get it. They refuse to acknowledge the truth.
Sorry, Sam, if I confused you. By the way,
And
I
it's
tried
been
real hard.
a pet peeve of mine because to me it ties to theism and it ties specifically to creationism, even though a lot of the creationists make fun of it themselves.
True.
But there seems to be a backwards correlation that the creationists seem to make fun of the flat earthers, but the flat earthers tend to be creationists.
Just a more extreme virulent of creationism.
Exactly. And yeah, so I didn't see if it was in one of my clips yet or if it's going to come up, but a common thing that I see across different conspiracies and anti-scientific movements is his use of, well, it's just a theory. Like, if I hear that one more time, oh my god.
Yeah, it's just a theory that like we might have like an omnipotent like spaghetti monster that's like, I eventually hope to be blessed by his noodly appendage.
I think
But
that's
hey, it's just a theory, right, Amy?
Yahweh can be just a theory.
but it's just a hypothesis. A theory is actually a framework of facts, and they just don't know. They use it 2 different ways.
In colloquial, a theory means just a conjecture or just a assemblage of random ideas, maybe. But in science, it's a lot more than that.
That's why I like to specify and say estimate, because an estimate's an educated guess.
That's fair.
And okay, I think we're gonna go through this clip because we're almost done watching it, but then the commentary is what I wanted to show. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go back.
I'll leave after this clip. I got to try to figure out how to build the telescope to look at a better star and leave the planet.
Okay, let's see if I can make you angry before then.
Send us a postcard when you get there.
Very quick aside, James. Did you see me in the debate with, or not see me like literally there, but like, did you see me comment on the debate with Antangelo and Dino?
Were you in the debate? I think I saw you in there. Yeah, I did. I in the debate.
Yeah, really. That was so annoying.
It was typical Antangelo. If you've ever seen him before, then yeah.
I'm just. I'm not mad. I'm just very disappointed. You feel me, James?
Yeah, Tangelo, all he does is repeat the same things over and over again, but he has them so researched, he can go on like a 5-minute straight monologue just parroting the same things over and over again, the same ID talking points that have been debunked hundreds of times.
I like how low-key Team Skeptic is Superman. Because, like, I think Superman knows a lot about planets. It's just an educated guess.
Yeah. Right. So,
he's actually not my favorite. debunker, but whatever.
Yeah, I think this is it.
Science.
Let me bring up a thing. You said God is real and God's been proven, right? Or
No,
God
I
has
didn't-
not been
no,
disproven. You said God has not been disproven, right?
No, I didn't say that
What
either.
did you say? What did you say about God and truth? You said God has not been disproven, is what I thought you said.
Said the Bible. The Bible's not been disproven.
I'm pretty sure you said God.
I'm pretty sure I said Bible if you play it back when you get done here.
Okay. Well, the spaghetti monster doctrine hasn't been disproven either. The spaghetti monster doctrine hasn't been disproven either.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's funny.
It's not funny. I'm using
But
your
I- yeah,
logic.
but
I'm trying to show you how
I'm insulted by
ridiculous
your
your evidence
intelligence,
is.
though. I'm
Your
insulted.
evidence is
I mean,
ridiculous.
I've
You
never.
didn't know what the Michelson-Morley experiment was.
I know.
You brought up the geocentric because you heard somebody talk about it. When I brought that up, you said I was strawmanning you. I wasn't. You brought it up. You brought it up. You brought it
I know.
up.
It's all, I'm the bad guy.
You say equations are not real, but I ask you, sir, if you were going to
Equations
present.
aren't real.
Listen, you
I
said
know-
math equations are
One
aren't
second,
real.
1 second, just to make sure
Oh
we
my
can.
God.
Well, two quick things. One, just
You
to
know, I'll
let.
never get
just to let-
to talk about the Bible. That's what he wants. I'm not going to get to mention the Bible.
I promise we'll come back. We'll come right back to you
because it's all about him.
We'll come right back to you. I promise, Patrick. Is
read Harry Potter?
There's also a.
I
like
would welcome
that.
a talk about the Bible. I would welcome that in any debate. You want to talk the Bible? Let's go ahead.
Amy, can we keep this one? I kind of like his snarky responses.
He
No,
is.
I
He's
like
getting
that.
he's getting nippy. A snippy theist, the uppity one.
I just don't understand why, when we're talking about astronomy, planets, stars, formations of celestial clusters, we have to bring in religion, something abstract and so intangible, created by a species on one of these many rocks.
But because they're trying to make their religion apply to the real world, so they're trying to make it tangible, because they really, 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 really would like for it to be true. They just can't see it working anywhere, so they have to kind of just pretend that it works.
Mm-hmm.
And they start from the opposite direction. So we start from what is the answer, and we go out and find it. They start from here's the answer. What can we go out and find to make it fit or prove it?
How can I
Confirmation
prove
bias.
a global
Yeah.
Yeah,
How can I
not-
prove? Well,
Let me look in
Not
the rocks
nuclear
and see what
global flood.
happened. How can I fit a global flood into this?
it's how could a boat fit? Not a boat fit. How could a boat fit two of every animal? And it's like, can a boat fit two of every animal?
Is that
It
even
could
good
if
for
it
the
only
gene
had to
pool
take
of
kinds.
every animal?
Only specific kinds, Amy.
Oh yeah, kinds. It's funny. They evolve they try and get their language, but sometimes the closer they get to the more sophisticated language, it almost sounds like evolution at a point where
Well, I mean, yeah.
It's
If you break it down,
they
they get
evolve.
very rapid evolution because they're saying in just a few thousand years, all these species diverged from just a few thousand basic kind, way faster than what any evolutionist would say.
And they will crap on the Cambrian explosion, even though the Cambrian explosion is millions of years. But they're like, how did something explode? Like, okay, we get it. The word has explosion in it. That doesn't mean that it happened instantly.
It doesn't mean it was a day, and millions of species just popped out of nowhere.
Should I play devil's advocate, actually?
Go ahead. Why not?
Sure.
I'm surprised that even in sort of like central Mexico there is a global flood myth. And I know we're talking about flat Earth, but like I'm not gonna put my hedges on the sort of like flood debate because honestly I just find it hilarious because I just think that did Noah actually do to every animal? Did you do it for the birds care if the world is flooding? I don't know, just small aside.
It really
I
doesn't
mean,
get that detailed, I don't think.
I mean,
It's
it
more
lets the
vague.
fish off the hook.
I mean, I've heard you
right.
don't need insects because they could have lived on floating pieces of debris or floating carcasses. I don't know.
But I still will never understand why he doesn't just Thanos snap it. Why he's just that, like, sin gone. Instead, he's like, this'll be fun. I'm going to drown all of them.
Well, it's because when they wrote the story, God wasn't omnipotent. That hadn't happened yet. So he had to operate through natural processes. It's like then when Ken Hovind said, like, oh, he did it as a flood. That way there'd be evidence of it. That way we can look back and we know that it happened because of all this evidence. Yeah, great evidence.
I'll actually be charitable for the flat earthers because I'll leave soon. Just once. Just this once.
Yeah.
So I posted a video basically about a physicist named Isaac Arthur does videos on megastructures. He did one on flat Earth. If you believe in flat Earth so much, I'm a challenge accepted. I'll build you a flat Earth. I'll get some guys, gals, everyone in between on it. We'll build you that flat Earth and send you all on it. I'm not compromising on the fact is that this globe is a sphere. I'm not even going to entertain the idea that like debates like this are generally worth it, which is why I'm with you guys because you're all fun.
Did you happen to see the Aaron Ra debate with Nathan Thompson?
I don't want to know, but yes, no. Well, I know that I know I've not seen it. Yes, I guess I want to hear more of it because I'm a masochist.
Oh, well, I mean, they didn't even get to finish the debate. Aaron Ra basically rage quit because the condition of the debate was that Aaron Thompson would defend some type of model that he was defending, and he refused to adopt any flat Earth model that could be attacked. He just wanted to sit there and poke holes at the globe model.
I will say, this is the opposite. This flat earther left the debate before they could get to questions.
Where can I find this modern day debates? Is it a YouTube channel or their own website?
I'll link
It's
it
on
here,
YouTube.
and I'll link it at the bottom of in the description.
Mm-hmm.
What, the debate or the channel in general?
The channel.
The debate.
I was talking about the channel.
Then you can find. You can find the channel from there.
That's not that hard.
Is it on YouTube?
It's
Modern
on
day
YouTube.
debate, yeah.
I got a video for you, Sam.
Sponsor for you, James, right now. Other James.
You guys can watch. You all can watch this whenever you get the chance. But it's the cosmic inflation thing. I'm gonna leave soon. But final thoughts. So, what's the percentage chance of flat Earth being real right now?
Me, I put it 1%.
I still
gracious of me.
Like, how would this
1% is
flat
pretty
Earth
high.
operate?
Yeah, it's very gracious if I'm even giving one.
I need more details before I can even make a guess. Is it in a dome? Is it a disc? Does it have corners? Where does the water go? Or is the edges of the Earth is like a bowl where the edges are all mountains holding the water?
You don't have to worry about all that, Sam, because God will just take care of it all.
Can I catch you? That's why they say dome, because they say glass. Because if it's glass, then it's a design and like something's like looking at us like a Christmas ornament or something. But there's no freaking evidence for that.
But Amy, the stars have to hang from something. They can't just be up there. They have to be suspended in something, right?
Yeah, it's called Cosmic Streams, James.
Well, it's like when Nathan Thompson loves desk. Where's the container? Where's the container? How can you have gas pressure without a container? It's like, you idiot. Gravity is the container. It's just invisible. You can't see it, but it doesn't mean it's not there.
Oh, that's another thing that I want to, speaking of, since we're on
Where's
topic.
the container? You can't have a gas pressure without a container.
I mean, if you were to flip vacuum, space is vacuum, yes? Okay, so we have to imagine, if you can, the forces are reversed, right? So gravity, instead of space being filled with gravity, keeping, like solid planets together, or gas giants, or, reacting stars together, it comes from the inside. Gravity pulls at the matter around it, the matter that's spinning. For instance, our Earth, it pulls from the inside instead of pushing from the outside. So it's not even a container. It's kind of like a attractive force toward the center of each of these bodies, and that keeps these solid masses together. It keeps these gas giants, these stars together until they finish burning out.
So it's not like a physical container, but it functions sort of the same way because it keeps everything together. It keeps the gas from going out into space.
Yeah, it's like a magnet, pretty much like a magnet inside of each and every body, you know.
And so I wanted to show one of the things that the flat earthers constantly talk about, which once again, this is lovely Creative Commons science experiment, and this is just how to bend water.
We will be using a comb. Now, when you rub your head with the comb, it collects electrons from your hair. Remember, there's electrons in everything. Since electrons have a negative charge to them, the comb now has a negative charge. All you have to do is put the comb close enough to the water and it will bend right before your eyes, because the positive charge in the water molecule is trying to attract the negative electrons. Now, you can bend water with the comb. Is there any other objects you think you'd be able to bend water with? If so, let us know below and we'll be sure to update you as soon as.
There we go. Just one example. And they're always like, just show me one example. Ta-da, ta-da.
Well, I mean, they're like, water doesn't bend, and then, except when it does bend. Then that's the only time it bends, when it does.
Actually, nothing, to be honest. It was just so blatant on the nose. I was like, yeah, that's the water bending. Either I've smoked too much weed out of this joint, or I'm fucking crazy.
Or just enough weed.
That's the $1 million question. I'll stay in chat, but nice talking to y'all. Now
the only smart thing to do now, the only prudent thing to do now would be to go bug Smokey Saint. So go ahead and do that for a little bit before bed. Tell him we said hi. Tell Smokey
complaining about flat earthers the other a week or so ago because he was saying they make theist look bad.
Yeah, that's why even like Ken Hovind, they were harassing him for a while about it, and then he didn't want to give a position. Then he came out and said, "No, the Earth is not flat."
I'm sorry. That's why I asked for a channel. I don't know these names. I don't know any of these.
Ken
names.
Hovind, you don't know Ken Hovind? He's probably the biggest evolution denier on YouTube. He spent 10 years in federal prison for tax fraud.
You'll know him because he debated Bill Nye. He's the Bill Nye guy. He's the
one.
one.
That was Kevin.
That was Ken Ham.
Oh, that was Ken Ham. See, I'm getting my two confused. Which one is SpongeBob logic?
Ken Hovind.
Okay, and then
explain that phrase.
That's right. Ken Ham is a little bit nicer, but they're both.
He does the art project in Kentucky or
yeah.
Tennessee, I think. Yeah.
Can you explain SpongeBob logic?
Well, Ken Hovind has a thing on he has a episode called Whack an Atheist. He runs once a week, and he's trying to say atheists are dumb. So he has the SpongeBob, and he takes a hammer out and he hits the SpongeBob when he's trying to say he's whacking us with science. He's a funny guy. He's got a nice imagination, but he's full of shit, basically.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
He went to prison for 10 years. He's into all these conspiracies, government tax protest conspiracy theories, and basic charlatan. He runs a compound down in Alabama now where he's called Dinosaur Adventureland. He tries to say humans and dinosaurs live together. And, at some point, I'm sure the FBI and the U.S. Marshals will raid the place and he'll go back to prison. But, yeah.
He's one of those that inspires the joke, wait, you're telling me the Flintstones was history?
That's funny.
Radiocarbon dating's a lie. Evolution's a lie. The geologic column's a lie. Basically,
The rings inside of mountains are a lie.
oh no, he'll explain all that with the global flood. The global flood generated all that by magic.
Mm-hmm.
Magic, the global flood. The Grand
And
Canyon
okay,
global flood. Why we don't see
So,
Grand Canyons all over the earth, I don't know. It just happened in one spot, but global flood.
I'm almost out of clips. We're going through a good pace, but I think I found the one I missed. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share screen again.
So anytime you're talking with somebody and according to their views, Adam in the Garden of Eden riding on a T-Rex is more likely than modern science. You have to ask yourself,
sounds
where
more
you
like
going?
Land of the Lost.
Yeah. And even the flat Earth is even just a little bit too much for that guy. He won't go there.
Oh, they all shit on it. That's the funny thing.
I don't, but I'm sure somebody else does.
People try to ad hoc their way through that, but it's not typically something that can be done very easily.
Well, I mean, it's always that we can't prove anything, and how do you answer this experiment? How do you answer that? But it's never about you proving that we're flying through space on a ball, spinning. And, you know, we came from monkeys, and the universe is infinite, basically. And we're just flying through space for billions of years. And that's how it is, guys.
Hey,
we can observe and prove it, but, you know, we can't get rid of these flat earthers.
So I think that
So yeah, I think that
You
was really just
said-
taking another
you
pot
said
shot at evolution.
We said we came from monkeys. Like,
Yep.
why do they why do they keep saying that?
Because
I mean, what else can they say, right?
And it's almost like they want to be offended, like that. I love that line. Like, you call me a monkey? It's like, no, we're an
You might
ape.
as well be.
You don't know the difference.
So I love Gutsick Gibbon. Yeah, you're an ape. We're all apes.
Yeah. Just tell them what they don't want to hear. I love it. I love when you give them the answer they're not ready for.
The debate with Otangelo, because it was a nightmare, but so he would try and give like examples of things that are irreducibly complex that there's no way evolution could have made. And then Dapper Dino would take like an example and say, yeah, actually, evolution can explain that one. And then he just keeps rattling off, and he's like, Otangelo, you could sit here till the end of time naming each and everything and then saying, well, unless you tell me how that particular thing evolved, I won't believe it. Okay, well, now you need to tell me how this particular thing evolved. And it's like, that's not how this works. Science can explain how things that look very complicated could have arisen over time instead of all at once. We can do that. It's not a barrier to evolution. Do you have anything else, Otangelo? Well, I don't see how this could function without this protein, and it just wouldn't work. And it's like, Otangelo, nobody said that had to be the way it happened. It could have happened another way. Well, yeah. Very exhausting mentally.
Also, when we don't know something, they never accept that it could possibly be natural. They don't even entertain, like, they will say, can abiogenesis or insert any subject consciousness, could it have natural? No, it could never have natural. It's like that doesn't even get to be in the category.
They seem to forget a little phenomenon called cause and effect.
Well, I mean, like I've said before, I mean, I feel sorry for them because every day science is closing in on their worldview, and their God has to hide further and further. Now he's only got a few places he can hide in because we explain almost how everything else works. So that they fight pretty fiercely for those couple pockets where they still get to hide him in.
Yeah, for those few gaps.
You got potential energy and kinetic energy. And we know that no energy can be created or destroyed, so there's already kinetic forces out there. As soon as they bump into something with potential, that thing starts moving and cause and effect. Cause and effect.
Molecules in motion, but they don't want to accept it.
Are you saying I'm a bunch of fizz and soda? I
Yes.
love all the yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're a
you're
domino
fizzing.
chain.
I forget. Is it there's a Cy 10 Bergenkate, another creationist, that will say, you know, well, how can you know anything if you're just a bunch of fizz and soda?
Yeah, that's a
We're
lot of Mr.
really
Batman argument.
complicated. We're really complicated.
That is
Bob.
Batman
Fizz and soda.
logic.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I-
Batman logic.
And
I can tell.
excuse me, Mr. Batman logic, because the real Batman, I can't insult the real Batman. I mean, come on.
Or
Yeah,
Batman the
yeah.
dog in my case.
He's the good one.
We-
oh yeah,
we-
or him. They're both good Batmans.
I'll
Yeah.
just tell them the answer they don't want to hear. Yes, we are fizzing reactions, and we're going to run out.
Or is that
We
I
are.
love that no, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, we are
I was
fizzing
just gonna
reactions.
say, yeah, we are. Or was it Professor Dave? He debated Ken Hovind. Now that's, if you don't know who Ken Hovind
Dave.
is, that was a really good debate, Sam, that you could see, because
Is
Ken
there like a
Hovind,
list of all the big names in this community? All the atheists, anti-theists, theists, deists, procreations.
Don't worry, hang around. You'll pick them up.
yeah, you'll be an expert in no time. But Ken Hovind's always like, Dave, do you think you're related to a mosquito? And Dave's like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. And then, like, do you think you're related to a strawberry, Dave? Yes.
Yes.
It's like, it's like you can sit there and name any forms of life on Earth and ask if it's related, and it'll be yes.
Absolutely despise loaded questions. Absolutely despise loaded questions. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Just a point Tony brought up, but which we always bring up to young Earth creationists, but rib women, they never like going into that category. But you know, we know biologically women came first, and then men, and really asexual, then women, and then men, and
Yeah, I mean,
Tony D, men have nipples because all, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, all mammals at least. Yeah, all mammals at least
yeah,
start as female within the womb, and then
that's gotta
our
be,
bodies
yeah.
develop from the head down. Bodies develop from the head down. And that's why babies have such large heads, at least within humans. Dogs,
We
for
have-
instance, they have large paws that they grow into. But yes,
we have as
as
large a head as can fit out of the cervix,
Mhm.
because any more, and then women just die too much. But
yeah,
we
well,
wanted
the
big brains.
even when healthy births, you just compare the size of the head to the torso and to the legs and arms. Oh my God, our arms and legs are grossly disproportionate to us when we're born.
And I'm gonna bring us over. I think I only have like 2 or 3, and then we're done. But look how much, and this is from a 2 or 3 hour debate. I really didn't want to do the whole debate, but can you just see how, because it's funny how much
They
sometimes it's
keep
like
taking
15
the
minutes just going back.
attention off the topic at
But-
hand. You're supposed to be talking about flat Earth, but then you got distractions like creationism, intelligent design, and proof of
And-
God, and
I just wanted to isolate how much that if you pull the parts out, just how much God comes up, even though to them
It's all tied
each
in.
time. Yeah, and even though they're surprised, if you ever pinpoint, because of flat earthers, for some reason, theism may not be their number one, but it tends to be number 2 or number 3, or it's not far behind.
Yeah, like the Witsit Gets It channel. He's a huge flat Earth channel,
Yeah.
but most of the videos he puts out about are religion based. You know, like he did the Antichrist the other day. They were saying if Trump is the Antichrist, and I said, 10 years ago I was watching videos about Obama. 5 years before that, George W. Bush. 5 years, well, there was no YouTube back then, but people in churches were talking about Bill Clinton being the Antichrist back then. Probably Reagan at some point in the 80s.
And you'd think if there was an Antichrist, he'd try and get in contact with us, the people that hate religion and stuff, but no.
Well, when I was a theist, I would say, oh no, because the Antichrist, he wants people to think that the devil's God, so he wouldn't be with the atheist anyway.
Well, they
he would
always
try to
say,
take over. Yeah.
the greatest strength of the devil or whatever is he hides himself. I'm butchering the quote, but his greatest strength or power is he makes you not believe in him.
It was
Yeah,
convincing
convincing
people he
man.
didn't exist, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
His greatest
exactly.
trick was convincing people he's not real.
Convenient, very convenient how that works.
Of
He
the
hides
other
himself
debaters,
almost as good as God. Almost.
Almost. He's the world's second best hide and seek champion.
A close second to God.
Right, this is what he does. I see it now. I'm out of here, basically.
Wait,
he
no,
won't
Patrick.
shut up.
Wait,
He can't shut
like
up.
Patrick, we'll give you a chance to respond
No,
now.
I'm never. By the time I get to scripture, it's too late. The guy's just pushing science down our throat.
How about this?
Scripture?
While he's looking for, or while someone sends him,
Was that the debate topic?
He's saying things
Patrick.
that I said that I didn't say.
I know, and while he just asked if someone can look up the clip. My guess.
All right, I'll wait here. I'll wait until you find all that stuff. We'll be here.
Well, how about this? I'm not interested in the scripture part, so why don't you read the scripture
I'm
part?
not interested in waiting for your friends to find something that's not there.
Well, wait, but we'll give you a chance while they're looking for it, Patrick. How about if you want to make your argument and then, like,
no, he's a dickhead, and that's just
wait, hold on, wait, it's Patrick. Come on, it's that I'm.
Okay, I think the important part of that was scripture. That somehow
Go ahead.
it got. It's just somehow it slowly got reinterpreted more and more until in his mind it's like no. Why are we even here debating the science? We're here to talk scripture. It's like what? I'm sorry. What were you gonna say, James?
I was going to say, just to play devil's advocate, I do think Team Skeptic can be a bit of a dick. I'm not a huge fan of him, but in this case, he is definitely right.
Yeah.
He just, it seems like his approach is to utterly destroy people, eviscerate them and pound whatever's left of them into the pavement. And I mean, as opposed to try and help people, and to each their own. But
He likes to punish ignorance, not cure it, just punish it. Is that what you're saying?
in a way, yeah, some people are recalcitrant, but I just, not a huge fan. But
All right, only 2 more clips left. And Sam, don't forget to mute.
Oh shit! How do I do that?
Big red button at the bottom.
Completely disagree with you. What do you have to say about that? Are you saying they're wrong too?
No, I want to go back because this is a very. Hold on, almost had it.
Scholars out there that absolutely are more of a problem. Okay, this is where I do have a problem because I don't have a problem with people believing God is real or believing in the Bible. I hold an agnostic point of view. But when you come forth and say this is something you guys should be reading because it supports the flat Earth, which is real because because of the Bible that I'm suggesting you to read, that's fucking circular reasoning right there. Nobody cares about the Bible or how you want to interpret it being a flat Earth book. There are biblical scholars out there that absolutely are more informed than you are about the Bible and completely disagree with you. What do you have to say about that? Are you saying they're wrong too?
They're wrong. Anybody that sees
they're wrong. They're wrong. They're experts in the field you're about to present.
Anybody that sees a globe anywhere in Scripture is wrong.
Here we go. Not only are the scientists wrong, the biblical scholars are wrong. Everyone's wrong. Do you know who's not wrong? Him. He's got it. He figured it out.
Well, I mean, you like biological organisms, religion evolves over time. It is in a ways ad hoc because, especially the more liberal virulence of it. They integrate new information. They work with it. They reconstruct their narrative to make it all fit together. If you want to be like a purist, then you're going to say, well, it must be true somehow or another. Even if science disagrees, science must be wrong.
Yep. Make it, if it new science comes in that doesn't fit your model, reject the science and go back to your model.
And you have like a hybrid approach, like a Ken Hovind type of approach, who just tries to make it fit into the Bible some way, somehow. One way or another, it's got to be right if you just keep pontificating.
For a time, I tried to do that. I tried to explain some Christianity with science, but there are things I just could not explain, and I didn't even bother.
It takes work. It definitely takes work. But hey, they've got all the time in the world, right? It's better than getting a real job. And that is what I do think some of these people look at this is it's like an occupation. If I can get morons to send me money every month and I can make them think that the earth is flat, well, hey, that beats getting up every day and going to work, right?
The hustle is real. I can't hate. I can only speculate.
Yeah, hey. And that's why I've said about Hovind, like if he couldn't be in his compound and get people to buy his stuff, he'd have to go out and get a real job. He'd have to go and, what would he do if he couldn't sell creationist materials? Yeah, he'd have to actually work, and that would be
have a real job.
He said that before. He's like, oh, yep, real job. I'm never getting one. Go to drdino.com and buy my video series and buy my book about the end times and buy my thing on this, buy that.
Snake oil doesn't sell itself.
Now I demonetize my YouTube channel because we're not here to make money, but you can still go to my website and buy my stuff.
Still buy my stuff.
Merchandising.
Or give your your next paycheck so you can come to my prosperity gospel speech and all the rest. It goes all the way down to pay for my new Scientology level course. Different shtick, same thing.
Yeah, that's funny. Then if you ever leave Scientology, then they mail you like a $12 billion bill for your lessons and all that.
Well, not to get too far off topic, but I've been thinking about Scientology recently, just how it's just a mind trip in that, so half of the protection must be that, at higher levels, they tell you the lower levels were all bullshit. And so it must give you like either this false security that like, now I have it, or like, the moment they did that to me, I'd be like, oh, okay. So it was all bullshit the whole time.
Yeah, I imagine as you keep getting higher, they keep, well, now now you're in this circle, now you're in that circle. You feel like you're on the cutting edge.
Exactly. You feel like you want to be in the know. That's what all this is about. You want to be, like I was saying, all these new terms, the woke, the red pilled. We're all trying to just figure out what's going on.
But the thing, how it became a religion is that L. Ron Hubbard came up with these ideas that modern medicine psychiatry is bullshit, and he started putting out his own alternatives to it. But the FDA came out and said that's you can't do that because you're basically practicing medicine at that point. So he said, well, he raised his middle finger and said, well, now I'm a religion, so screw you. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, basically. I'm pretty sure he was psycho-evaluated and it wasn't a positive one. And I think this may be conjecture, but I'm fairly sure that's where his kind of war on psychology has started. And then, from that, now all the members have it.
It's same thing. Science is bullshit. Modern medicine is bullshit. Instead of a Bronze Age book, he just wrote his own book so he can reap the money from it. And
it's I don't know. It's funny if we should compare it to flat Earth. I don't know who gets insulted by who with the comparison, but it's all about there's a conspiracy. There's people out there trying to hold us down. We're in the know. We're the little guy. We're the underdog trying to fight for what's right. And if everyone just knew what I knew, they would understand it. But they don't. They never make models. I'll tell you that much.
That tends to be a template for all conspiracies.
Yeah.
Explains the behavior.
It's similar to like cult mentality.
Yeah. I say this quote often, but it's my favorite Joe Rogan quote of all. The difference between a cult and a religion is in a cult, the leader knows he's full of shit. In a religion, that guy's dead. My favorite quote, because it fits. It's all encompassing. It fits for every prophet so far that I know of.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the similarities between religion, conspiracies, and shit like flat Earth, which I guess is a conspiracy, but maybe even a little bit more than that.
I avoided trying to put the words conspiracy theory together in my intro, even though you should, because I'm trying to. I don't know. You try to be even before you knock them down, or a devil's advocate before you knock them down. But yeah, at this point, how much information do you want? What is it going to take? Do we have to fly you out there?
And then even then, even if you took him in a plane or high enough, they'd say, "Oh, you drugged me before I was up there, or you implanted false memories." I mean, it just never ends, the amount of just ways they could try to rationalize it.
We have satellite imaging surrounding the Earth every day.
CGI, Sam.
Yeah,
CGI.
I was about to say, but that's a CGI. But they never have CGI. I mean, every once in a while, maybe they have like a picture, but they never attempt it. They always come up with a reason why there's no pictures. They throw away our pictures.
It's always so far away.
It was funny because I don't have it anymore, but hardly anybody has it. But Dish Network television service, when you have Dish Network, there's a channel on there which is actually a camera on their satellite. I've never seen anybody post that, but they do have it, and you could see the Earth from their satellite pretty much 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I think I posted an ISS feed on the debate, but it's like if they're not going to accept, a photograph or a video, even if it's live streaming, then and sometimes I try and go, what about Elon Musk? Is Elon Musk in on it, even though he is, is he just sending up CGI rockets? Is it just day after day after fall? I guess it wouldn't be would it be false flags? I'm not sure what the right term is, but
misinformation.
A lot to keep up.
Yeah, with no clear what would you gain from it? Oh, nothing actually.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is they always, so many of them say it's it's to conceal God, but so many of our world is a theist. I mean, Newton himself was a theist when he proposed all his first laws. So I don't get, just like the Big Bang wasn't first proposed, or maybe first proposed by a theist, but evidence was given by a priest. And so if all these theists
Portuguese, a Jesuit, right? I think it was a Jesuit, wasn't it?
Yeah, they'd have to all be in on it. All of them. Our enemies.
I think the name Big Bang was actually made as a pejorative. I don't think the guy who came up with the name liked it. Yeah, he just said they didn't like it because they favored the steady state model back then, but they received evidence and there was no way to make it work with the steady state, so they had to abandon it. They had to come up with something else.
And there really isn't any tie to evolution, even though that seems to be what they tie it to. It's always like it's a flat Earth because evolution is wrong. You're like, what does
Two different arguments.
Yeah.
Well,
What does
I
that
mean, it's
do with
just a
anything?
general mistrust of science. If
Exactly.
science tells us
Exactly.
that animals evolve, and then science also tells us the world is round, hey, they're both wrong.
Well, and you accept one conspiracy theory
Over
like
another.
common theme. You accept just one untrue thing. It allows you to just accept other untrue things. Not only that, a lot of times you build off that. It's like a seed. You build off that one untrue belief. Well, if they're hiding something here, well, then clearly they're hiding things over here and here and here and here. And we start to go back to that chart, which we always make. Well, now you put that first tack on the board, and it generally, the tacks only grow.
Well, and here's the thing, from a biblical standpoint, once you reject biblical cosmology, well, then from there you might reject biblical biology. And then where do you go from that? It's a never ending. You're shooting down the ideas that the Bible proposes. And then sooner or later, you're just going to say, why do we need this Bible? What do we have here? It's all bullshit.
The 6,000 thing is bullshit anyway. We were talking about that the other day with the Usher chronology, but it says 6 day. I mean, you're not even being. They even call it's not even literalist. They are trying to fudge things to try and make it sound well better than what the original thing in the story is. What the original text says.
Who are you talking about? The people who take the literal view, or the
even the quote unquote literalists that say 6,000, it says 6 days, and so even they, I mean, it's just trying to make the Bible fit anything other than what it says is just
the 6,000. That doesn't come from that. The 6,000 comes from the Usher chronology. Yeah, that comes from looking at the ages of the people in the Bible. So it says Adam was this age, this one had this age, this one lived this long, this one had a son when he was 370 and all these things. And then you get to the time of Jesus. So then they work backwards and say all the way back to Adam. And that's how they conject that it was 6,000
Okay, you know what? Now that I think about it, so they are saying it happened in 6 days. It's just 6 days plus the rest to make it 6,000.
Well, the creation was 6 days, and then between now and then was 6,000 years, because we know they claim Jesus was alive 2,000 years ago, right?
Yeah,
sure. Okay.
Roughly. Okay, so you look at the books in the Old Testament, and it says it gives people's ages, how long they lived, how old they were when they had children, and then it'll say Enos begot this one begot that one, this one begot Jacob, yada yada, and it goes all through the Old Testament that way. So if you know, if you work backwards from the time of Jesus, you can arrive at how long ago just by adding up the ages of people.
See, but Neff cut me off. I was like, you believe in a literal 6 day. He's like, we don't believe in 6 days. It was 6,000.
Well,
so
they believe in 6,000.
My logic.
Well, they believe. I don't know, Neff. So then you have you have different views of the 6 day week to try to work with the older time. So sometimes then they'll say each day was a generic period of time. It wasn't a real day. It was more like an epoch. So the first day could have been 2 billion years. The next day could have been 3 billion years until you.
This is what I mean. I mean, it just seems like they're fudging it. Like it seems like what they do is they take the story and now they're trying to so just like that's the start point, and now they're trying to make it sound, I don't want to say smart, almost make it sound technical, but it says more like a nursery rhyme, and now they try and all this stuff, even his chronology. So now he's trying to take it back and write it But yeah, I guess maybe Neff was fuzzing that. Then he should have defended. It
Neff, I
happened in
believe
6
he's a
days.
young earther. He's a
Yeah.
young earther. I've never heard him diverge from that. But then you have
Wow.
your more nuanced guys like Smokey Saint who will take a middle position, like, oh, God did it. It was long ago, but he just wrote the book that way so that the people back then could understand it. Because if you started talking about all these crazy things back then, that people would have rejected it because it didn't make sense. So he had to put it into language they could work with.
And they both find Nathan crazy. So, not crazy, but it's just funny. So it's like there's a ladder of accepting science.
Yeah. There's a ladder. I guess like the flat earthers would be at the bottom, the lowest possible rung. Like once you hit that level, there's nowhere to go.
I mean, we use that as it was funny for the past 100 years, right? We used to say that there was nothing crazier than believing in a flat earth.
Mhm.
But here we are.
Here we are, it doesn't seem like it's going away. Thankfully, it's not growing. I don't think it's getting any bigger. It's pretty much
Thank goodness.
contained. The cancer isn't spreading.
Well, do you think debates help or hinder?
Me, I think they
overall?
help. I think they help because I do think there are honest people who just maybe come across some flat earther material and it looks kind of like, oh, hey, maybe this is true. But then once they look at the other side of it, then they very quickly figure out, oh, okay, all the stuff they're talking about, there's very good answers to. The earth is round. Next.
I agree. I think sometimes if you don't have exposure to it, they can sound very technical and smart because you just become a good rhetoricist and you just learn your talking points and there's specific things you hear. They say over and over and over again. So it sounds pretty decent. But I think in watching some of these debates, you start to build, I don't want to say an immunity, but an immunity. And you start to hear some of their arguments and you start to, you do your own research. And then I think you're better prepared to bat away some of the superstitious beliefs that would otherwise seem highly impressive. At least on first blush.
There are definitely more people out there who are more gullible, who are more prone to believe almost anything they come across. But, most people look at things with at least a modicum of skepticism and are able to, certain things are just beyond the pale for most people. And hopefully flat earth is like that. It's like I can listen to conspiracy theories like I was saying, but over Christmas talking to my sister's boyfriend and he starts mentioning dinosaurs and I'm like, no, I'm not going to entertain that.
What is with that? How is that now a trend? How is that now a thing?
And they're denying classic myths that were proven wrong with science. Like I said earlier, if it's not flat Earth, it's geocentrism. It's not geocentrism. It's everything here was created for our own benefit. Enough with this selfish story.
Also, can I say, I feel like that's in a very American view. I'm trying to forming a bit the past year or so that in America, we view other countries as kind of ours. Like there's a France so that we can have a France and like there is, a Spain so we can have a Spain. And so we have Chinese food and French food. It's all in Americans. It's all kind of for us. And so we kind of transport that idea just further and further into yeah, of course the universe is for us. I mean, I've never seen anything else and I'm here and we're important, aren't we? And it's like, yeah, we're important and we're cool and a lot of awesome stuff is going on. That doesn't mean we have to be the literal center of the universe.
Well, I mean, looking at things, it is hard to comport the scope of the cosmos with the religious idea that this place is special, that God created this place, was the only place on earth for life. This is the focus of his attention. This is what he's concerned about, what goes on this little rock in the Milky Way galaxy. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, that seems pretty silly to think about it that way.
Yeah.
Go on.
There's so many more stars and galaxies and planets and things that we'll never be able to see. They're just way too far away. And but it's all the things that are going on this earth is what's important. What you do with your sex organs is important. Mutilating your children's sex organs is important. What you eat, certain animals you don't have to eat. It just seems very silly.
Accept a lot of baggage
that's ritual for you. Ritual and religion go hand in hand.
There's some good use in tradition, but if the tradition is telling you to kill people, you should probably reevaluate that tradition.
Even Ray Comfort, you're familiar with him, I'm sure, Amy.
Banana Man?
Yeah, Banana Man. Because even someone asked him, they were going through biblical morality, and they say, well, if God told them to kill these people, there must have been a good reason for it. And then they asked Banana Man, Ray Comfort, they said, well, if you heard God tell you to go kill somebody, what would you do? And he's like, oh, well, if I heard that, I would go see a psychiatrist. It's like, well, why would you go see a psychiatrist? Why wouldn't you just follow what God said? He's like, well, I'm not going to go kill anybody.
The common joke that is, if you are talking to yourself, it's religion. If God responds back, it's delusion. It's all good as long as you're talking to it.
And I mean, that's good in a way. Even someone like that would say, well, if I heard that, I would not go and do it. I would get mental help because that's probably what I need.
Yeah.
Which is better than some of the things people do.
It's better than hacking it on your own.
Say that again?
I said it's better than hacking it on your own.
Yeah.
And it still happens at least, I don't know, it probably happens at least once or twice a year where a mother, usually it's a mother more than a father, but will end up killing their kids and she'll say, hey, God told me to. God told me they were possessed by demons or something like that.
That's what it believes. God probably tell her that they're...
Just want to point out.
I lost my point.
It all makes sense now. It's all coming together. He's CGI. I get it now.
If somebody wants to sell those really expensive high-end cars and they want people to way overpay for them, so they just made up Elon Musk.
I know.
Give it a reputation.
It'll take until we're going to the moon and other places for people to go. Because at that point, it'll be like saying there's no outside to the bus. But until then, I'm going to keep on creating conspiracy theories.
But the interesting thing with then what I have heard before, now this is an interesting thing to ponder, is that right now when we look out in the stars, we see stars, galaxies, but there will be a time if the universe continues to expand where we will look out and we won't see anything. And then they'll have to take on faith that there was a time where all these other galaxies could be seen because they would be moving away faster than the speed of light. You could never see them. So they'll have to take on faith alone that there was a time when they could see other galaxies. Obviously, that's probably trillions of years from now, but you never know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I've heard Krauss make that because at one point it'll be so far that we won't actually be able to get good evidence, right?
Right, yeah, you could never see another galaxy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we're gonna be wrapping up soon. I think this guy, I probably should have named it almost debate review, but I just when I started this, I couldn't help it because I just see so much correlation between theism and other conspiracy theories, and flat Earth is a fantastic example of this.
It's you could not have less or worse evidence for anything.
Yeah, even though.
Yeah, it's the litmus test. It's the bottom rung. If you've descended to that level of kookiness, then until you get up from that, there's very little hope for you.
The flowchart stage. Has he reached the flowchart stage?
It's one of those where they probably, I think they say like your power level. They can't even tell it to, their friends, because if they bring it up in a conversation, everyone's gonna be like. And not only that, but I can feel in the flurfs feel that when they bring it up, I can feel that just like that one guy said, his name was Flat Earth something, and everyone wanted to debate him even when he wasn't on a debate topic. But
do we have someone in chat saying dinosaurs are fake? I see.
He's trolling.
I figured that as much.
Archie Johnny.
I would love to talk to someone who says dinosaurs are fake.
Oh yeah. Oh hey.
If we could get one of those in here.
That would be fantastic. Anyone wants to defend the flat Earth, dinosaurs are fake, creationism, any one of the things we view here as superstition, you're welcome to join.
We'll be nice.
That would be nice. Exactly. We did well with Sal. Sal looked like he had a good time, right?
Sal did have a good time. I thought he had a good time. And, there were people who were kind of upset that we didn't browbeat Sal, that we didn't, but I mean, I thought it would be rude to ask a guy to come on and then just not let him give his case and just, browbeat him at every option. That's not why he came here,
And it was sort of his pre-debate thing anyway. I think you could see it. He felt good. He just could get some ideas out and even go off topic because he went into poker.
Oh, and that tied up a big part of the debate with Matt Dillahunty. Did you watch the whole debate? Yeah.
I've watched 2/3 of it now. I can't believe I missed it, of all the things, of all of the debates.
Were you doing something else, or it just missed it by happenstance?
I think I was taking a nap, and it ended up, even though it was at like 10, because I'm such a night bird, and I saw it. I saw it go off at 10, and by the time I was like up, it was like 11, and then they were doing Q&A. So I'm like watching it backwards.
Q&A.
Yeah, we should do one on that. I'm so scared about politics and
Pizzagate.
Pizzagate. Oh my god! Yeah,
So
all
ridiculous.
that fun stuff.
Oh, all the channels were lit up today with all the politicking events and whatnot.
Oh my gosh! And Matt Dillahunty, he did my venting for me. So
Matt Dillahunty, Nephilim Free is very funny to hear drunk. I don't know if I've ever heard him drunk.
Really? Definitely. I can imagine.
One time I asked Aaron Ra to do an impression of Kent Hovind high on cocaine, but he said he wouldn't be able to do that right then and there. Because Aaron does a great Ken Hovind impression. He does if you've ever heard his Ken Hovind, it's really good. Yeah,
I haven't, but now I want to.
Oh, who did that? Was that Prophet of Zod, who did a few videos with Paulogia, and in those videos, Aaron Ra does the Ken Hovind voice. So yeah.
I gotta see this.
I would love to debate Ken Hovind.
He's going to be on Standing for Truth at some point in the next few days. I have to double check and make sure I set an alert for that. Otherwise, I might miss it. I do not want to miss that.
Yeah.
Now, I know James was talking about getting him back on Modern Day Debate at some point, but I haven't heard anything about that since. And then Sam could see Ken Hovind for the first time. That would be really fun.
It'd be a treat, right?
You'd seem you've been bringing him up quite a bit tonight.
He's out there. He's a perennial creationist evolution denier, tax protester, conspiracy theorist,
You know,
inmate. Yeah, like he refused to call Aaron Ra because that wasn't his birth name. So then Aaron Ra just kept referring to him as his prison number.
inmate. Yeah, I remember that.
He's like Aaron Nelson.
They're so funny with that names. I will leave on, I guess, my final note. Not only it's funny that they hate that, but I love my postmodernist gender question. You know, whenever they go with the sir, and then I'm like, all right, let's put that aside. What gender is your God? And they're like, listen, let's. Actually, in gender theory, you have to understand that man and a woman, is it really what you say it is? And it's like, okay, calm down. I get it. Your God is genderless. I know you just became a postmodernist student.
Actually, hitting on Ken Hovind once again, he while he was in prison, he read a book called The Shack. I've never read it, but briefly, it seems to be about a guy who goes to this like cabin and he interacts with God in some ways, and God comes to him as like a woman, a black female, is from what I remember. And but Ken Hovind, he recommended the book. He said it was a good book, and then people were saying, "Oh, Ken Hovind's a heretic because." God appeared as a woman, and Ken Hovind was like, well, what gender is God? I mean, does God have a race? Does God have a gender? How can you even say that? He could appear as whatever he wanted to appear.
Specifically a white male with a beard. I think blonde hair, blue eyes, right? I think.
Oh, white hair. God, he has white hair.
I mean, I one time I did go into a black church and they had a picture of like a painting of a black Jesus on the wall. I had never seen that before. I mean, I guess I don't think he ever existed, so you can imagine him as whatever you want. But
in his or her image.
Well, we could do a whole thing on black Israelites. We can do a whole thing on them. I'll let them be the true Jews. They can have it.
Let them have it.
Oh, there's.
So we've got a stream coming up on slavery. When did you have that scheduled for, Amy?
Oh, and we may eventually start changing the official time to 5 o'clock, but this upcoming Friday, 7 p.m., as sharp as you'd expect I'd be, we are having a discussion on slavery. A very exciting topic. I feel like this is
good segue.
Yeah, and I think it's a fantastic, I don't want to say atheist talking point, but a fantastic atheist talking point, because we love harping on it because it's such a obvious showing of how stupid this God is. In fact, I think the title is "Don't Beat Your Slaves." It's like basically the advice that the Bible gives you. It's like, yeah, don't beat them. I mean, you can have them and stuff,
but if you beat them, don't beat them so hard they die right then. If they caterwaul a few days in bed and then they die, whatever.
And thank you, Tony. Yeah, I like the Socratic method because I feel like it's easy to just say people's thoughts. Like I can just tell people what I think forever, and I will because I like to blab. But it's you can get so much more when you can properly strongmen their question, and yet it still sounds silly. Not silly, but when they have to explain themselves, sometimes they don't even hear it out loud, and just saying it out loud gets them to really think. I think my favorite thing to hear from, I would say, a theist or something superstitious is, that's a good question. That's a good question. Because then I normally you can feel the gears turning. I don't know. Either of you
No,
have any
you can
comments
tell
on
when you ask
catechism?
questions. Sometimes when you ask questions and they're, you almost see the gears turning, like they don't want to answer a certain way because they know where that's going to lead. And I mean, some of the ones they'll just walk right into it. They don't even pay attention. But
they probably teach their congregations preset answers to typical questions that they're used to. When you throw in one that they're not used to, it's like, again, ad hoc, or because I said so, because God said so.
Yeah. And so I'm going to show basically one last clip and then tie it up. And it's just so funny how many of from this one he brings up the Bible. I think this is just him talking. Second.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm back. I'm just I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything while I keep looking for that.
You know where I said God has never been proven wrong, or something like that? Because I said the Bible, as far as I know, has never been proven wrong.
That's fine.
I never stated anything as fact. So why are you?
It's never been proven right either. It's never been proven right either. It's just your opinion.
I know. Okay, so
So what are you doing presenting that as a factual anything for to support flat Earth?
I'm throwing it out there so people will read the Bible. God is real. You're not interested in Scripture. You want to talk about.
No, but okay. This is where I do have a problem. Okay, this is where I do have a problem because I don't have a problem with people believing God is real.
All right, and then it was treading back onto one of our earlier ones, but there you go. I mean, I hate to say it always leads back to religion, but it always leads back to religion.
Yeah, it's a recurring theme. It's you'll see it over and over and over again.
They didn't know how to explain recording. They didn't know how to do that, so it's passed down to the oral tradition.
And
no, go ahead, Amy. I was just gonna say I have to email you the exchange I had with the guy the other day. Remember I told you about Brett Keane? He got kicked off YouTube, and I had challenged him to a debate. Then he offered a Discord debate, and I was trying to get him to do a formal debate. Then he said we can do on Discord. Then I said okay. Then he said, no, screw you. I'm not doing debates anymore until somebody can answer me these few questions. And
hold on. I'm not going to do a debate anymore unless you answer me these riddles 3. It's like, okay.
And it was prove you, and everything else came from nothing. It was one of them. So basically he's listing criteria that could never be met, so he doesn't have to debate. So I wrote back to him. Yeah, I wrote back to him. I said, well, if you don't want to do a debate, that's fine. It's probably better that way so you don't embarrass yourself. Just please don't, going forward, please don't comment about atheists being mentally defective if you're not willing to debate your position. And he wrote back a real nasty email, and then, I'll send it to you. But it was funny. It was very humorous. But I'm still trying to be charitable with him instead of just calling him a total moron. But I did give him a name as the Forrest Gump of Christian apologetics. So that is his official name, Brett Keane, a.k.a. the Forrest Gump of Christian apologetics.
Well, he's welcome to come on here anytime and defend his position.
He can. Absolutely. We'd love to have Brett Keane on, even though he's kicked off YouTube.
All right, so I think we're going to go in reverse order. Sam, welcome back. We just want to give us your thoughts. Flat Earth, what the hell?
So, the only thing I didn't mention last time, because I was waiting for someone to come on board and put their two cents from the opposite side, and a simple proof that at least our Earth rotates is time zones. Not every section of the Earth receives sunlight at the same moment, and yet, given moment in time, the other side of the Earth, opposite 180 degrees of wherever we are, is dark, or vice versa, is light. When we're experiencing night, they're experiencing day, because our Earth is rotating, not just on any axis, but it's on certain axis, a certain direction, which results in us seeing the sun, quote, rise in the east and set in the west, because that's the direction our Earth is turning. Yeah, that's
Okay. No, I think that was pretty awesome. James?
Yeah, so it was nice to confront this issue. This is not something I think that's going away anytime soon, and thankfully there are plenty of ways, plenty of resources people can do on at any time you want, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. In 5 minutes, you can look up an abundance of resources that will prove to any honest person that the world is indeed round, the scientific model is correct, and that people who disagree are either crazy, lying, or just not very intelligent people. And yeah, that's why I say it's the litmus test, because if you've done research into it and you can't come to the conclusion, then there's got to be some type of problem. And that problem, unfortunately, lies with you. Either you're not an honest interlocutor, you're not using your powers of reason very well, or you are so deluded and you want to believe this so bad that you are willing to lie to yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with both of what they just said. And in my conclusion, I will say I do not see the motivation for a flat Earth. I do not understand what the people that would be conspiring get out of this. And when the people who do believe in a flat Earth tell me that it is ultimately about a god, all I do is point to the absolute abundance of other theists who mainstreamed us and got us here to a round Earth, including Newton himself. And so my only question to flat Earthers would be, bring us a model. Bring us a model, bring us a testable model that not only all of us in this channel can see, but to which the scientific community can see, and you'll change our minds. That's all it takes. But until that time, we're going to have to go with the absolute abundance of evidence which says that the world is indeed round. I want to thank both James and Sam for having such an awesome night tonight, and I look forward to you guys joining me for slavery on Friday.
I'm so sorry. I was barely awake.
Nah, it's okay. It was fun.
I look forward to Friday being at a much more reasonable time. Pardon me, viewers. I just got off work.
That's okay. Good night.
Good night.
Have a good night, guys.